Welcome back, Queen, to another episode of The Creatress of Freedom. Oh, I'm so excited to have you join this beautiful conversation that we're going to delve into today. If you are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so honored that you have chosen to take some time out of your day and listen to this beautiful conversation that we're about to have. And if you're an OG, welcome back. You know I love you. Thank you so much for tuning on in. If you have had a big takeaway from today's episode, I would also love to hear as well. Let's get stuck straight into it today. Today is a really, really special episode because I have got a beautiful, beautiful client that has been in my world for actually not very long, but has had huge leaps and bounds within her business. And you know, the courage that she has really is a testament to that because her results are speaking for themselves. And I know that there has been so much growth in all areas of her life, not just within her business. And so I'm really excited because I know that you're going to hear yourself in her story, whether you're a salon owner, whether you're a mum, whether you are in business, whether you're a sister, no matter where you are in your journey right now, I know that this beautiful woman is going to share some beautiful knowledge and wisdom and just share how life can be really fucking hard sometimes. And just to really let you know that you're not alone. And so I'm super excited to bring on the most beautiful woman, Shelby. Hello, babe. I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you for joining the Creatress of Freedom podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Gosh, I'm so excited too. So, Shells, do you want to take us back a little bit? I know that we haven't been in each other's world for a little while. I've seen your journey and oh my gosh, like it has been incredible. Like the woman that is like sitting here in front of me right now is so different to the woman just like 5 months ago. Like so different. Like even your face looks different, your energy is different. Like so much has shifted in your world. But I would really love for you to take us back in time and share a little bit about your journey before we met. Like, tell us a little bit about your salon, tell us a little bit about mum life. Like, just tell us a little bit about you before we get stuck into all of the other stuff.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I've had the salon 8.5 years now. I've been in business over 8.5 years. It's been ups and downs, so many ups and downs. First couple of years were fantastic. You know, I was working full time. Don't get me wrong, I was working so many hours to keep things going. But, you know, I got things out of it. You know, we bought a house and we did all this and all that sort of stuff. And then 3 years ago, I became a mum and things got hard. And it got difficult. Like, of course, I want to be a mum. I don't want to be working as much and everything like that, but I still love my business and I still put my heart and soul into everything I do. So I went down a couple of days a week and I found things were a bit more tough, but okay, it was going okay. And yeah, so that's been how it's been going. And then I had another little baby, and before I had him, things got really, really tough. And there was heaps of strain on my marriage, to the point of it was difficult. It was getting to the point it was either my marriage or the business because there was so much, I don't know. Yeah, it was just, it was hard. It was so hard. Like I was getting nothing out of a business and I was working my absolute butt off because I was sitting there going, I need this. I've got this. I've worked so hard for everything. I've been doing this for 7 years. And it got to the point my husband was like, it's either me or the business. Which one are you going to choose? And I just went, well, of course I value my family so much more. Like, and not saying anything. It was just more of the fact that he was done. He was like, we have 1 day a week together. We don't go away as a family. We don't, you know, it's everything is the business comes first, you know, and it was just testing. So I went, I'm done. And I agreed I was done. And I, last year, put the salon on the market. I put it on the market. I had 2 staff working for me, 2 full-timers. One of them turned around and cracked it. I'd offered it to him first, and he didn't want to. And I was like, that's fine. I totally understand. Like, I take whatever you want to do. And he ended up leaving, which was fine, and I totally understood. And I said, turn around, and it was like, I'm going to actually go do my own thing. And I was like, I'm so proud of you. Like, I was straight out. As much as at the time I was 34 weeks pregnant, and I was like, what am I going to do? And I was thinking, oh my goodness. But I was like, no, do you know what? You go do it. I am so proud. Like, I'm so proud that you're going to go take that step, and you need that push. And I'm thinking, even though like it was a sucky time for me with selling and all this sort of stuff and having a baby, I was like, no, I'm really proud of you for doing that. Anyway, so he did that. And the other girl who worked for me, she was like, Shell, please don't sell. And I was like, no, I'm done. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And she's like, no, please don't. Please. And I was like, she's like, we will try something and make it work. Just please. And I just went, okay. She goes, give me 6 months. And I was like, okay, fine. I was like, fine, I'll do this. And she's like, we will take on staff. I'll help do this. And I was like, okay, fine. And she did. She stepped up, and we had been making things, and I was turning around, and it was there. But I was still not 100%. She was like, give me 6 months. And if you want to sell in 6 months, sell in 6 months. Because technically, I didn't want to sell. I never wanted to sell.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Keep going.
I love working, and I love my clients. I enjoy being in the salon. So I didn't want to sell, but I was just over being exhausted more than ever. But it was quite funny. Like, I think my baby was probably about 6 weeks old, and shit hit the fan by then. There was things going chaos. I worked till I was 40 weeks pregnant. I literally stopped working.
Oh my gosh.
And the next day my doctor was like, I need you to come to hospital because things are not looking right. And next thing, 2 days later, I had the baby, and I was scheduled to work, and people were like, why are you working? And I was like, because I have to. And this is where my belief was, is I had to work, and people weren't going to understand. And but I was wrong. But that's okay. It took a long time for me to realize that. But yeah, so like I was just working, and then I think my baby was about, I don't know, 6 weeks old, and I had a message, and I was like, what's this? And I ignored it, and I was like, whatever. I was busy. I was flat out trying to sort out all these things in work, trying to manage new staff that was working for me, with managing a new baby. So, going back to work when he was 8 weeks old, and he is a 5-stage clinger, this baby, so he's a real mummy boy. When I say 5-stage clinger, 5-stage is an understatement. I love him with all my heart, but oh my goodness, this child. And, it was one of the things I was like not making, but my mum was watching him so I could go to work because I had to work. I had to run this business. I had to be there. And things were going on, and it hit Christmas and worked crazy hours. I was thankful that my hubby was in a job that at the time he could be home by lunchtime. So he could be home, and I could literally just get up and leave and go to work, and at any point in time I would say to him, any chance that you could be home so I can work? And he was like, yep, no worries. And he did it. But it got to the point I was just like, I don't think I could do this anymore. And I was like, I don't know what my next step is. And I don't know what my next step is for growth, because I got to the point where I was like, do I put my kids in daycare full time so I can go back to work full time? Because if I'm not making anything out of it, like literally nothing, and we are, it got to the point of being behind on everything. You know, there was bills and bills and bills, and I was like, how am I going to pay for these bills? Like, they're just getting ridiculous. And then I decided to go back into my DMs, and I found you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Thank you for pouring your heart out and like sharing your journey. Like, what a fucking journey you've been on. Oh my gosh. And I'm sure that there is so many listeners listening to this relating to that story. I know even just like hearing you, I could put myself back when I had my salon and I was just a stepmom. So I wasn't like a mum as such, but like I could still hear myself in your story and think about the juggling and just the stress that happens with business and trying to be a mum and trying to be a good wife. And oh my gosh, like insane. So thank you for sharing so much of your heart and your vulnerability today. I would love to back it up a little bit because I think that this is something that's not talked about enough. And I think that it's really important that we do like actually have these conversations. And I know you and I have had, deeper conversations around this, but that's the pressure that it puts on a marriage. The pressure of, being a business owner, knowing that this is your dream, right? Like your salon was your baby before you had human babies, right? And so the blood, the sweat, the tears, the sacrifices that you have made up until that date is like you're all in, right? Like you are willing to not go away for the girls' weekends. You are willing to not get paid for how many ever months. You're willing to like ruin your sex life because everything is just exactly. So I would love for you that you kept saying like it was really hard on your marriage. Can you delve a little bit more into like what was the hard? Like was it the financial? Was it the lack of communication that you guys had? Like what was your hard in that situation of, and I mean the fact that your husband, and I've met your husband, he's so beautiful, but the fact that he gave you an ultimatum, like that's a big fucking deal. Like that's a big deal. So can you share a little bit about just that journey of, I mean, obviously you've come out the other side of that, but like, can you share a little bit around that?
Yeah, of course. So, of course, I had the salon. So I bought the salon about 6 months. Oh, no, we were together 6 months, but when I bought the salon. So I've had this shop our whole relationship pretty much. So he has been there from all my renovations that I decided to do, spur of the moment, to the same of every weekend of me working, me turning around and not going to birthdays, not going to weekends away, everything because I had to work. And it just got to the point of it was enough sort of thing. It was just the fact that he would say to me, you can make a weekend, plan a weekend to do this, but what about our family? Like, or what about us? You know, you have to schedule it. I'm over it being scheduled or taking time off.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. So it was literally like that. He was like, you have to schedule me into your life. And he goes, that's not fair. And I was like, and it took me a bit to realize it. It took me a bit to go, yeah, no, you are right. Like I shouldn't be doing that. I should prioritize my family and my husband before prioritizing the business sort of thing. But yeah, like it just got to the point of, we had no communication. I wouldn't tell him. I just do it because I'm like, well, it needs to be done. So I would just go do it. And I would go do things and I wouldn't ask his opinion. I wouldn't ask for him to do anything. Like I would just be like, oh, this is what's happening today, or oh, I'm working today, or I need to go to the salon early today, or I'm working till 9 o'clock tonight. It was no letting him know. It was no, and he would be like, yeah. And for a number of years, he just went with it. He's so supportive and he went with it. But when it got to the point of where I would turn around and go, and this makes me sound like the worst parent in the whole world, but I was sitting there going, is my child, like, if they're sick, I'm like, please don't be sick because I need to work today. Like, I was like sitting there going, I can't afford to take time off of work if you're sick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I shouldn't be thinking like that. And like now I'm like, okay, well, if you're sick, you're sick. But originally I was sitting there going, you know, and he was like, you know, you would choose work over your sick child. And I was like, no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. And at the time I think about it and I'm like, yeah, I would. Because, and it makes me sound like the worst parent in the world. But
not at all. Not at all. There will be women going, yeah, 100%. Yes, mic drop, woman. Finally, someone said it. So yes.
Because the thing is like, I'm sitting there going, well, there's bills that need to be paid, and I'm with if I don't work, there's no money, and you know, and that's what I was getting to, and it just, that was, so we had no communication in that aspect, and then even the money thing, like, so we always had it as a deal of, for years, like ever since since I bought the salon, and then about 2 years later we bought our house. And when we bought our house, we made, at that point in time, I still wasn't taking a wage. But, you know, I still was having money. So I still got money in and, you know, I still had a tax return. So all these things and, you know, it was good. And I could still live. But we made a deal that when we bought the house, that everything in the house he would pay for. And then all the extras is what I would have to pay for. So, like, you know, holidays or bits and pieces, like, you know, fun stuff and everything, weekend stuff and all that sort of stuff. So that was the deal. But that deal kept going and going and going. And do you know what? It still grows now. And that's 8.5 years later. And the problem is it's a financial strain, you know, and I literally still don't take a wage. And, you know, now I do, but before I wasn't taking a wage. And, you know, I'm sitting there having a family and going, and he's like, but you're not contributing to this family. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, but I can't right now because I've got to do this. And there was always an excuse. And I was like, yeah, well, there's a bill this week, or I had to buy stock this week, or I had to, I don't know, anything. But then, it came a financial burden. It was just ridiculous. Like, so it just got to the point, we weren't talking. We weren't even coming home, like, at night. We'll just lay there on our phones. We don't talk to each other. Because we had nothing to talk about. Well, we did, but there was, I don't even know, we just lost our connection because I was so focused on this and he was so exhausted from that, you know. He was so exhausted from the business. And it took me ages to realise that. And I sound horrible for it, but it's the reality, like, and I know there's so many people who think the same thing and go through the same thing and everything like that, but I just, I feel terrible, but at the same time, I'm like, it's life. It's, you know, one of them things you got to go through, I guess.
Yeah, do you know, thank you for delving a little deeper into that. I know I put you on the spot around all of that. So
you're fine.
So thank you.
I don't mind.
Do you know, I obviously have a lot of women that come into my world that are either in a relationship, a very serious relationship, or they are married. And, you know, we often have these conversations and I hear, you know, a lot of the sacrifices as well that the man is making, or the partner, whatever your situation is. And I don't think that we talk about that either. You know, like, we talk about the sacrifices that we make as the salon owner, and then we get frustrated at our partner because he's not understanding, air quotation marks. He doesn't see the behind the scenes, you know. And the truth is that most of us, and I'm guilty of this as well, you know, like, I got my salon into almost $90,000 worth of debt, and my partner at the time, he had no fucking idea because I held so much shame around pretending to be this successful business owner
Yeah.
and faking it till you make it, kind of situation.
Oh, 100%.
That when I actually finally, had expressed to him like how hard it really was, he had no idea, but because I was keeping all of that a secret, like the weight of that was so heavy on my shoulders. And
Yeah.
this is something that I hear a lot as well with a lot of women when they come into my world, is that they're not truthful with their partner about the real situation. And that actually creates tension and it creates friction within the marriage, within the relationship. And we have to remember that we went into this as a partnership, right? And so that means through good, through bad, through sickness, through health, like all of the things that come with choosing your life partner. But yet our old stories and our old programming kind of gets in the way and stops us from being really real and being really vulnerable. We can sit here and have a conversation with a girlfriend and be like, oh my God, it's so fucking hard. But, you go home to your partner and he's like, how's your day? And you're saying, like, yeah, it was good. Knowing
Oh,
that
100%.
you made no fucking money.
Oh, seriously, that's the thing. I would sit there and I could easily tell one of my girlfriends what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my closest girlfriends, I could tell her what's going on, but I couldn't tell him because I would be, I guess, ashamed. Like not ashamed, I guess ashamed.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I would be like, I've worked so hard and it's not working. And I used to sit there and it took me so long before I actually sat there and went, no, and it was when we were deciding to sell that I actually started to talk to him a lot more about things. And it was getting to the point because I used to be like, can I borrow $1,000 this week out of our mortgage, like out of our account sort of thing, so I can pay, rent? And he'd be like, yeah, take whatever you need. That's fine. Like he was always fine with it. I would say, oh, can I borrow this? That's fine. You do it. You do it. But it got to the point where he was just like, all right, there's enough. Enough is enough. You can't just keep taking. We need to get something back. And what's happening? Let's sort this out. You need to talk to me and let's sort this out. Let's sit down. Let's have a look. Why? And he was just, it was more the fact that because I wasn't keeping him in the loop because I didn't want him to know how much. And I feel bad because he started a second job to help pay for the business too. So for me, like he started his own business, and his business was then funding my business at one point in time. And not anymore, of course. He actually got to close his business, so he's not anymore. But he, at that point in time, he was funding it because I had no money, and he was like, that's all right, we've got this, I'll just work another job. And I feel bad, but
you're doing the best that you could at that time, right? Like, hindsight's a wonderful thing. When we look back on our journey, we're like, holy shit, like, wow, like how did I get myself into that situation? Like, and you can play out the scenario, but you can only do that because of the woman that you are now and the knowledge that you have now and the experience that you have now. And the beautiful part is that all of that journey has actually made you who you are right now, which is really beautiful. So like, don't feel bad. I know that there's a lot of women that will be, probably still in that situation right now, right? That their husbands are still paying for their business. That happens a lot. Women come into my world and, they tell me all their numbers when we're having the conversation. And the first thing, because I obviously know what I'm looking for. And so the first thing I say is, so how are you surviving right now? And they're like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, no, because like these numbers are not adding up. Like you're telling me how much you're making. You're telling me what your expenses are. There's nothing left over. So how the fuck are you surviving right now? And then they're like, that wall has to come down because they're super seen. And they're like, yeah, like it's either going on credit cards or it's going on overdraft accounts or, it's partners or it's loans from families that are like helping out or it's inheritances, and all of these, the weight of the shame around having to borrow money or, all of that is it's really, really, it's a lot. I think we all go through it at some stage throughout our entrepreneurial journey where things are really fucking tight and you don't really know how you're going to get out of it, but you just kind of keep holding the faith and you just keep trusting and you just keep pushing on through and you just hope that one day it's just going to change. And sometimes that's years before it changes. So yeah, I think that there will be so many women that will be listening to that and really hear themselves in your marriage story and just the struggles of what that looks like and how hard it is to be vulnerable with your partner. And that's something that I teach a lot in my world, especially in our Evolve container. We really delve a lot into like the feminine communication and really understanding why your partner is showing up the way that he's showing up. And I know you and I have had conversations about this. And, I know that I've got a few other women in my world as well that are like, my partner just wants me to sell the business, and he doesn't get it. He doesn't understand. And, I will share for those that are listening, I always say it's actually not that he wants you to sell the business. He just wants his woman back. That's really what he wants. He sees that your business is taking all of your time. It's taking all of your stress. It's creating so much chaos in your life. And as a masculine, his role is to nurture, provide, and care for you, right? And so if he can find a solution, like that's the male's job, right? Or the masculine is to find a solution for a problem. So if you are coming to him and you're like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted today. He's like, sell the salon. Like there's the solution, or you're like, oh my gosh, like things are really tight this week. He's like, solution, sell the salon. And so yes. So that's what they're actually designed to do, but we don't understand where they're actually coming from. And so I think, for the women that do come into my world, when they start to grasp that and they understand this different meaning of like, oh, he actually really does mean well, like he's not trying to be nasty or trying to make me quit my long lost dream that I've lived forever, it does really help you shift your perspective. So let's shift a little bit into like when we connected, when we reached out. So everything was pretty shitty, we'll just say, up until that point in time. And I remember you DM'd me, and I knew that you were all fucking in, because it's interesting. I've obviously been doing this for a few years now, so I can read body language. I can see who's like in and out. Very quick, you get one person that will message and be like, you can hear the wishy-washy, they're not, the certainty's not there yet, but by your message, when you dropped straight into my inbox, I was like, this chick's in. Like, she knows, she's ready. She's at her rock bottom and she's like, I've got to make this happen. And I could feel that energy through our DMs that we were having. And I think it wasn't even 24 hours and you were like, yep, I'm in, like I'm decided. So can you walk us through a little bit of that process? Because there was obviously 8 years before 7 years of being in business, of like, toing and froing and trying to make it work. Like, what do you think was the actual like point in time that made you say enough is fucking enough? Like, what was that? There's always a moment. What was that moment for you?
I didn't know what to do anymore. I'd hit that point of like, I hit the point of going, what do I do now? Like, I don't know what to do. And I went, I don't know. And I actually sat down and I spoke with hubby, and we were sitting there going, he's like, well, what do you want to do? Should we just close the doors? And I just went, he goes, because it's going to cost us more to pay everything out. It's going to cost everything more to do this. He goes, should we just close the doors? And I said to him, I said, I'm not ready for that. I said, I'm not ready. And he's like, well, what do you do? And I just went, I think we need help. I think we need some guidance, and I think we need to change. And he goes, okay, well, what'd that be? Like, he got into his whole little, oh, yeah. And then I told him, I was like, I've been following someone on Instagram. And he goes to me, yeah, right, who? And I told him, and I said, I've been following a mentor, and I think we should reach out and just see. And he goes, okay. And then I went, also, I've been messaging her, because I hadn't told him. Standard Shelby, does not tell him. And I went, and I messaged her, and he goes, okay, well, tell me more. And I mentioned to him, she can help me. She can help us. She can help us grow everything, turn things around and show me guidance on what to do and help me out. And he went, okay. And he said to me, all right. He goes, well, what's the thing? And I told him everything, and he went, all right, you got 6 months. And he gave me the ultimatum. And he said, you got 6 months. And if nothing changes in this 6 months, we'll close the doors. And I went, okay. And he said, this is your last thing. He goes, I can't do it anymore. He goes, we can't financially do it anymore. He goes, this is your last step. He goes, she's got 6 months. And I went, okay. And then, we were messaging, and I went, let's do this. And I told him everything, what we were talking about. I showed him all the messages and stuff, and I said, this is the thing, this is what we're going to do. And we decided to do Ignite. And I'm so glad. And from that, he wanted to be a part of it as much as he could. He was like, well, let's do this together. Like, if I'm going to grow, you're going to grow. Let's do it together. And I said, yep. And he realized after a few weeks, he was like, I think this is something you need to do, not me and you. He goes, but I will be here for you to talk about afterwards. And I said, okay. And, after every conversation, every meeting, I sit down and when I tell him about how it went, he'll go to me, how did today go? What did you chat about? Da-da-da. And he would ask all the questions, and he was being really supportive, and it was good. We got into it, and within the first week of meeting you and being, under your mentorship, I had so much realization of so many things I didn't even realize. And I thought to myself, fuck, how did I let it get this bad? And how did I not realize and everything? So it was, it was nice. I'm glad that I responded to the DM. And, at the time, like going back to when you sent that DM, it was at a time that I needed it. And I always believe in everything happens for a reason. I've always been for that. Everything always happens for a reason. People come into your life at a certain time. People leave your life at a certain time. And for me, your message, even though when I seen it and I was like, okay, and for me to follow and your post at the time, I went, no, it was the right timing for me. And I went, no, I'm ready. I need to do this. And I'm so glad I have.
Oh, it's been such an honor to support you. I mean, we've been together since January now. And there's been so much growth, like in all areas. Like, I've seen the woman that you are communicating with your husband now. I know we've had a lot of conversations around that situation. I know we've had conversations around motherhood, and what that looks like and how you juggle that with being a business owner. And then I know that we've had so much growth around leadership, like, holy shit, like your leadership levels and your skills have flourished so much, and your team is actually thriving. Like, your team actually function better when you're not on the salon floor sometimes, because because of the new level of leadership that you have put into them. And it's been so beautiful to witness your journey. I mean, yes, the financial situation is still always an ongoing thing. And I honestly think that for all women that come into my world, that goalpost always shifts, right? Because we think that we're going to be happy when we earn a certain amount of money. Those women come into my world, they earn that certain amount of money, and then they're like, actually, I want more. I was like, exactly. I literally was having a conversation with one of my private clients yesterday. She just had her biggest week. So she's solo. She was originally working full-time in like a HR company, so not even beauty related, but was doing her beauty salon on the side. And we'd worked out a plan, and she was going to, work out maybe 12 to 18 months after she was going to go full-time into the salon. We worked out the plan. She was able to move in quicker. And from January through to like literally to today, she just had her first $18,000 week. But what was so funny is that she says to me, she's like, yeah, like we did $18,000 this week. So like, that's the highest week that we've had. And yeah, like that was really good. And, but like, I still like would like to like, maybe get a little bit more. And, that only happened because of X, Y, Z. And like, went down this whole spiral. And I said to her, hold up, all right, let's just hold this up for a second. She's like, oh, what? And I'm like, can we just back this up and like actually celebrate that you just had an $18,000 week? We don't have to go down and justify how it happened. It happened,
Yeah.
right? Yes, do you want more? Of course you want more. Like that, you wouldn't be in my world if you didn't dream of a big life, right? So I was like, let's actually celebrate this huge milestone and not just brush it past like it's no big deal, because it actually is a really big fucking deal. And then she's like, you're right, it is, yes, oh my God. And she's so excited. And we're screaming over Zoom and we're getting all excited. And so, like, I know that your financial situation still isn't where you want it to be yet, but you know what? I don't think it ever will be, right? Because you will constantly keep changing that goalpost, and you'll constantly, you know, there's a lot that we needed to put in place. You know, you had no solid foundations, you had no structures around your pricing, you didn't know what your break even point was, like you didn't know what your staff were costing you, you know, like there was a lot of things that needed to be put into place. And since then we have, you know, over the last few months, you've definitely been like head down, bum up. You know, you're putting your systems, you're putting your policies in place. Like there's lots of moving parts. You've changed color companies. Like, you know, there's so many shifts and changes that have happened within your business since January. For you, what do you feel like has been the biggest shift? What has been your biggest takeaway since starting in mentorship since January?
Oh, do you know what? I'm going to say me, because beforehand, I would just literally just, you know, keep going and just be like, yep, and be in my masculine. And I would just be like, right, and I would get angry. Oh my God, I would get so angry, and I would get so like, just do it. Just, this is how it's got to be done. Right. You need to do this week. You need to do this. And I wouldn't understand things, and I wouldn't, you know, and I find since January, I've just gone, okay, well, let's have a look. And I've taken a step back, and I now look at things from a different perspective, and a lot more calm. I'm so much more calm. And my girls tell me that. My girls tell me now, they're like, I love this person you're becoming. And I was like, oh, thank you. They're like, I really like it. And one of my girls, she goes, I wish that the new girls knew what you were used to be like, because then they wouldn't be scared of you. Because now you're really nice, and before you weren't nice. I was like, oh, thanks. And I was like, yeah, you were nice, but you were just, we were scared. And I was like, yeah, no, I get you. And she goes, and now I know, and I'm very honest with my girls as well, so I will tell them how they've gone for that week. And now we sit down, and every single week, like the beginning of the week, every Monday I message. We've got a little group chat between us girls, and I send them this message, and I send them a thing. I'm like, good morning, happy Monday. And I'm like, and I ask them what their intentions are for the week. I ask them, what are your goals? And I do what you do for me, and I do it to them, and they love it. And they'll go, and they'll tell me, okay, my goal for this week is to, you know, sell this many retail. And I'm like, perfect, you've got this. I said it's manageable. You're not putting something that's, your expectations are not going to be overly high. Like, you're not sitting there going, yeah, I want to sell 50 products this week. You know, I might, you know, they'll sit there and give them the thing of, they work out how many clients they've got, and then they'll go to them, right, well, let's have a look at something that's more achievable. Let's try this. And they're like, yeah, perfect. And they go for that goal. And, you know, it's amazing. And they come to me more now. You know, we sit down and they all tell me what's going on if they need to. They don't just shy away and everything like that. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you said that the biggest shift was you, because, you know, like, then I share this a lot in my world that, I mean, I'm going to get emotional. Oh my gosh. I share this a lot in my world that you are your business, right? Like at the end of the day, you are the business, and it starts with you. Like so much of your growth, so much of the things that aren't going well in your business really comes back to you. And that takes courage. And, you know, I always say, if someone says to me, like, what is the success? Like, what is the secret? What is the key to, growing a business and living happily ever after and tapping into freedom? I would say courage. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like that is really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Courage to admit where you actually are at, courage to take responsibility that, okay, yes, it's been like this for a certain period of time and now it gets to change. Courage to change the way that you've always done things.
Yeah.
Courage to have hard conversations. Courage to change the way that maybe your business structure is. Courage to let go of clients that are no longer in alignment. Courage to let go of staff that are no longer in alignment, right? Like everything that makes you successful and helps you tap into the freedom, which is ultimately what we all want, right? We all want to be able to tap into freedom. It really comes down to courage. You just have to have the courage, and someone can give you the tools and the support. But at the end of the day, if you don't have that deep courage to take that leap and go hell for leather for yourself, then like all of those things are going to not land. Like I can give you all of the tools in the world, but if you don't have the courage to implement those tools, they're pointless, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so like, yeah, I think your courage and determination and willingness to go there. I know that we've had some really, really vulnerable conversations, and I know we often start off with business related stuff where we think, air quotation marks, that it's business related. And I'm like, all right, what's actually going on at home? What's this happening? I know we've had conversations where, you're about to let go of a staff member, and then we worked out that it actually had nothing to do with the staff member. It was a completely different situation. But, logically our mind wants to play tricks on us, and it wants to make sense of the most logical thing. So I think like mentorship is so powerful because it does ripple, right? It does ripple. And yes, I'm your mentor, but now you're being a mentor to your girls. They're then going to go on and share. Like I know you were sharing podcast episodes with them. And so they're then going to go and share that.
Yeah.
So, like this is how we make an impact.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like literally, and just working that courage. And you said it then, learning to let go and to literally be vulnerable to opening up and trying something new and letting yourself learn. And yeah, 100% I agree with you there, because like for me, I love having control, and I will admit that I'm like a control freak. I literally have to have everything in control. I work in routine. This is how I go, and everything is bup, 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 bup. And I have learned that things aren't always like that. And even as a parent, I'm always like control. Like I work in routine with my kids. My kids are on routine, bedtime, and that's how they work. But I guess that's how I was raised, and I was raised in that aspect. And yeah, but now I'm learning that I can't always have control of everything, and I need to relax a little bit and just be like, okay, let's do this. Let's see what's happening. Open myself up to the fact that yes, as you said, we may lose clients, but we're getting new ones.
Yeah.
So the ones that we lose, yes, some of them I was I have lost clients in the last couple of months. I was devastated about maybe one of them, maybe two. But I've gotten, since then, I have made new clients. And you know what? They're nice. And I like them. And they're staying. So I like that. Because we've now got this space to open for them.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like the word that was coming through for you as you were talking then was soften. Learning how to soften is that word.
100%. Yeah. That's what I have been learning, is to soften. And because I'm so harsh, and I'm harsh in general. Like I will harsh, and I'm a very harsh person, and I will admit that, and I hate that about myself though. I do hate that about myself, which is not, so I'm learning to soften. And even everybody is noticing it, so which is good. And even my hubby says to me, he goes, he can notice it, because I'm a very being very harsh. I'm also not a very affectionate person. So if I'll go up and hug my hubby, he'll go, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing's wrong." And he'll be like, "Oh," and he'll be like, "Okay, are you feeling okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just learning to be more soft. And he's like, okay, good. I like it. He's like, I like this. I like this, Shelby. It's different. It's
Yes. Yeah, because it's you're stepping into your feminine, right?
Exactly.
Like, and I know that we've been leaning more into that for you, and that's your natural state of being. So the male is going to be more receptive to you being in your natural flow because, when you two are both in your masculine, which as a business owner, it's very normal for you to be in your masculine because you have to get shit done, right? So when you're both coming in at your masculine, you're gonna butt heads. Like there's no other way. It's like two guys on a footy field, right? Like they're both in their masculine, they've both got a mission and they're both right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you put that into a marriage and it's like a recipe for disaster. And women are like, there's no connection. We have no sex life. He doesn't listen to me. He doesn't hear me. Like all of these things. And I always say to them, I'm like, okay, well, when was the last time you actually softened and was in your feminine? And they're like, what is that? I don't understand what that is. What is that?
No, legit. And, literally that.
Yeah, exactly. What even is that word? I know.
I have no idea.
I know when I first heard it, like it was a big challenge for me to really start to tap into my feminine because I actually associated the feminine as a sign of weakness. And so, I had been so strong for so much of my life, after being kicked out of home at 18 and being completely on my own and having to fend for myself. There was no plan B. There was nothing to fall back on. You're very much in your masculine, right? Because you're in survival mode. It's a coping mechanism, you know. And I think, for me to soften into my feminine, I did see it as a sign of weakness. And I was like, I can't afford to be weak, I can't afford to be vulnerable. I can't afford to be seen because I have to get shit done. And I remember having a conversation when I was learning all about this with the girls in my team in the back room in the salon. Isn't it funny how your mind like goes back in time to memories? And I remember saying to one of the girls, can I ask you a question? And she was like, yeah. I was like, what is your definition of the feminine? And she was like, oh, the feminine's like soft and flowy and nurturing. And, like I see the feminine as, someone that provides and creates a beautiful home. And she had this beautiful like understanding of what the feminine was. And she's like, whoa, what's it for you? And I was like, I see it as weakness. Like I was like complete opposite to what she was saying. And so I had to go through that journey of like really learning and understanding what all of that really looked like. And, that would honestly be, I think, the hardest transition that we all go through as business owners, because you touched on before about being in control, right? Like you're a control freak. Honestly, every business owner is. That's why we're in business, right? You would not be in business if you were not a control freak, because you're in business because you want to do it your way, right? Yeah. So every business owner is a control freak because we want to do it our way.
Yeah.
So, but there's also a deeper rooted level of that as well, which is like it's often a very toxic coping mechanism as well. There's a reason why we've shifted so far into the masculine that it's actually detrimental to our growth. And so that's why, part of my world, I am really excited about teaching more and more of that feminine side of things, because I think that that's really where we do flourish. Like that is our natural state of being. So I love this. I would love to hear you wrap up this beautiful, delicious conversation and share with those that are maybe in similar situations to what you've been in. Like what has been one biggest tool that you've learned for yourself that you can share with the ladies that are listening? And what is your advice that you would give to anyone that's maybe on the edge of thinking about mentorship, whether that's with me or whether they've got somebody else that they're thinking about? What would you share with them?
I would say to them, one, take the leap, literally, take that leap, because for me, I always thought I was good with numbers, and I realized, not that I'm not good with numbers now, but now I understand, and I understand things a lot clearer. I've been, have now been shown different ways of understanding things, and things that I may have already been doing, but showing a different way to doing it and opening myself up for it. So I would say to people, if you're willing to literally, if you're at that point where you don't know what to do next, look into mentorship, because for me, it's changed my life. And I am so thankful that I actually made that plunge, and I look forward to my next step of what I'm planning on doing and going ahead and everything like that. Because for me, I don't know what I would have done otherwise, because I don't know and I'm so thankful. So if for people, I'm like, do it. Make that leap, make that jump. Just believe in yourself and believe in someone. Believe in you, because I believe in you and I share you. I tell all my clients about you.
Aww, that's the best.
I tell everybody. I tell all my clients. I tell my family. I tell my clients. I tell my friends, and they ask, so what have you been talking about? Anyway, they love it. They think it's great. And I would say people, make the plunge. Take that jump and invest in yourself. Invest in yourself, because that's what you need to do. And take, cut down that wall, knock it down, and lean into it. You got this.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. Oh, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know that you are just getting started. Like,
I am.
I know that. I feel that. I feel this shift in you, and I can't wait to see, what the next part of your journey looks like. And it's been such an honor. I don't take it lightly, women that choose to invest in me. There's millions of people that you could choose to invest in. And so I just want to say a big thank you for trusting me to walk you on this path and to walk beside you and to allow yourself to be seen by me as well, because I know it's not always easy conversations that we do have. And, it's such an honor. So thank you for trusting me to walk alongside you on this path. It's been such a beautiful journey so far. And I know we're just getting started, and I can't wait to see, what's next for you. So thank you so much for sharing your story today. Is there anything that you want to finally wrap up and share with the ladies before we jump off our call today?
Nah, just literally believe in yourself and believe you can do this, because as much as things are hard work, things always are going to be amazing. Like, literally, you might have a bad day, but it's a bad day. What's tomorrow going to bring? Tomorrow's going to be better. So just do it. Just do it. Literally.
I love it.
I love it. So you live the life you want to live. I think you've told me that numerous times. What life do you want to live? Live the life that you want to live. And if this is going to be your step of living your life you want to live and, creating you, then do it. Like, just be, we've all got the same, technically, there's literally so many of us have all got very much similar stories. And it's so similar. And just do it.
I love that.
Believe in yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for sharing today. So Shelby's journey has started off with Ignite. So if you are interested in looking at that container, there is, in the show notes, there is a link to it. It has slightly shifted to the way that we operate it now. It is an online-based program. So there is no personalized coaching in that program. If you're looking for something that is a little bit more hands-on and a little bit more coaching, then I would definitely encourage you to consider Evolve. So in the show notes, you will also see that there is a link for anybody that is interested in coming into my space around that. That is the heart and bone of everything that I teach. It is just the most beautiful, delicious container of spirituality, of sexuality, of business, of healing, of growth, of evolution. And my heart and soul is inside that container, and that is really where the big quantum leaps really do happen. But if you are not sure how you want to come into my world, then just shoot me a DM and we can definitely have a conversation about what it looks like for you moving forward. Shelbs, where can these beautiful people find you on Instagram if they want to reach out and ask you a little bit more about your journey, or maybe they are a potential client? Where can we find you?
Yeah, of course. So you can find us, of course, on our Instagram, just teasing Byford. Feel free to send me a message. I'm always happy to hear from anybody. And yeah, it'll be lovely. So just check us out. It's teasing without a G. That's all I like to say, because otherwise, if people actually,
Beautiful.
yeah.
We'll put your handle in the show notes as well. So if anyone is like, oh, I don't know how to spell that, then they can find you. And you are in WA as well. So
I am. I
all
mean,
the way.
yeah, in WA.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on this beautiful episode. If you have had a huge breakthrough or a huge takeaway, we would love to hear from you. So come and shoot me a DM on Instagram or respond to an email or have a look in the show notes on different ways that you can connect. We'll talk to you soon, fam. Bye for now.